Howdy folks, Justin here, and I wanted to take a look at the cards that were changed in today's balance patch and give my feedback, give my thoughts on them. So we're going to start with Belligerent Giant, which was the first one and the only older card to be changed in this patch. And Belligerent Giant's an interesting card. There was a time in the formative days of the of open beta where Belligerent Giant was not played at all. It saw kind of an explosion in play not long after Histgrove was first released, and stuck around even as those decks, waned in popularity for a while. It's just an incredibly powerful card, and I think this is definitely the time to change it because I feel like right now more than ever we are in like a mid-range sort of meta. A lot of the time, a lot of your matches are going to be mid-range on mid-range, and in those kinds of matches, Belligerent Giant is, in my opinion, the most powerful creature in the game. And I say that because it is an incredible tempo swing in a board full of a couple giant creatures, and it that's basically exactly why I think it's so powerful. It got the Manticora nerf, right? Which, Manticora used to be able to destroy a creature in either lane. Now it can only destroy a creature in the lane you played in. So Belligerent Giant now needs to be played into a lane with that you want to bounce something in. And the reason I think this is important is that it allows for counterplay against it, right? Which is loading all of your creatures into the field lane so you can swing into it the following turn. Makes it harder to set up just devastating, unstoppable rages, right? So it's a really subtle nerf. Suggests to me that the developers really think that this mechanic, and in particular this card, are important to have in red. And, I've voiced some concern in the past about just coming from other games, like Magic specifically, where the most aggressive color, red, has damage removal for smaller creatures, but struggles to deal with larger creatures, and bounce, returning creatures to your hand. In Legends language, it's unsummon. So putting bounce into these strong tempo swings into the most aggressive color felt a lot different to me. I've kind of changed my tune about that as time has gone on. I think that I think it's okay, but Belligerent Giant's still an incredibly powerful card, and I don't think that there's any deck you were running Belligerent Giant in before that you wouldn't run Belligerent Giant in now. It's obviously weaker, but it's still good. I think I like this sort of nuanced approach to changing cards. That said, a card that got hit real hard with the Nerf bat is Praetorian Commander. Praetorian Commander, of course, is the backbone of a couple different kinds of decks that have shown up en masse since the Heroes of Skyrim expansion was dropped. Partially because it's one of the most obviously powerful cards. It was one of the most obviously powerful cards in the expansion, so it was a natural first card to look at for building new decks or incorporating it into decks that were underperforming before. But Praetorian Commander is a card that prior to this nerf was able to boost up the power level of any deck almost that you put it into. Not every deck, but almost every deck that you put it into. And I think that its power level was a little high. I think that this nerf cripples the card to the point where it's not going to support those decks anymore. I would have liked to have seen it become like a 4/5 or something like that, in addition to the nerf to its summon ability, just so that there was a chance it would still see play. I don't think it's unplayable now, but I certainly don't think it's going to be. Well, certainly not going to be nearly as ubiquitous, and probably not going to be something you see a lot of at all anymore. Yeah, I wonder if it wasn't nerfed for some of the same reasons that Divine Favor was nerfed, which is because Divine Favor is absolutely nuts in Arena, and at 4 cost, which is what that card used to cost, it was just too much. And Praetorian Commander is sort of similarly just obscenely powerful in Arena. I have to admit, like, I reacted strongly to this card when it was first revealed, and I adjusted to it the quicker than anything else that I was concerned about at first. And I think the meta adjusted too. So seeing what direction the meta goes now that this is no longer going to be a factor in it, it's going to be interesting. It did sort of make Prophecy mid-range decks like king of prophecy, king of mid-range decks to a large extent. If you don't consider Scout Ramp a mid-range deck, Scout Ramp sort of in a class of its own. Oops, sorry about the Facebook sound there. It's not. It's not really a control deck. It's not really a mid-range deck. It's a ramp deck. I think it's more of a control deck than anything else. But anyway, Praetorian Commander is got hit real hard. So now we have Echo of Akatosh, which sort of turned itself into a Mundus Stone. My concern with this card wasn't so much its power level, because its power level is sort of totally random, but it's that randomness that I sort of was concerned with Echo of Akatosh. I crafted a couple of these to play with them, and I, in an assassin deck that I wanted to shove actually a bunch of cards that I was sort of suspecting would get nerfed into, and those cards were Echo of Akatosh, Bringer of Nightmares, and sorry, I'm spacing it off here. Supreme Atromancer, because Supreme Atromancer has just been one of the most powerful cards in the game for a year now. But anyway, Echo, the change to it makes it a lot weaker, right? Just a lot weaker, to the point where I don't think you're going to see this card played at all anymore. I wish actually there was another playable blue dragon besides the possibly the most powerful of the dragons, the 4/4 Prophecy Dragon for 4. But just to support dragon synergies more in blue. So that part of it kind of bums me out. That's that is a factor in my opinion of it. Like, I'm a little sad about that, but the card got hit too hard to be, I think, even marginally playable anymore. At 6 Magicka in blue, you can do a lot of more powerful stuff. Just to give you a quick look, just in blue alone, Conjuration Scholar is playable. Conjuration Tutor is real strong in the right deck. Fate Weaver is in a lot of decks. Icewing Dragon is a 6-cost dragon, which maybe some decks will experiment with now. I don't know it's necessarily good enough. It is, if it's like any other card in the game, actually, it's like Belligerent Giant, just worse. Ice Storm is obviously incredibly powerful. Master of Arms is great in the right deck. And Stealer Secrets can be a win condition if you're building around it. And Heirloom Greatsword is the most underplayed blue card in the game. I can't believe there are any underplayed blue cards in the game at this point. But so Echo of Akatosh, I don't know why you would run this anymore, honestly. And that's all right. I don't like random effects that much, to be honest with you. I know that I've expressed that before. It was hit real hard, but if you crafted them to play those sorts of decks, you can go ahead and soul trap it for the full value, as I can right here. Next we have another blue card. No longer a 6-cost card, by the way. Bringer of Nightmares. And this is interesting because this card, I think, is still on the fringes of playability in the right deck. Probably not like in mid-range Mage anymore or mid-range Assassin anymore. So it's coming out of mid-range Dragon Assassin right over there, which it's currently in. But I think in Control Mage you might still run this card, to be honest with you. I mean, even if it's just Mummify on a creature, right? Like, that's still 7 Magicka worth of stats. 7 Magicka is fair cost for that. And sometimes it's a lot better, sometimes it's a lot worse. But on average, I think that you're going to end up with a Mummify and a 4/4 for 7, which is still not unplayable. Just increasing the cost of this is interesting. I actually wish this card had been completely retooled because I don't like this effect. Changing a creature into a random creature, and you're going to see the creature first, and it could be Odoving, it could be, Chandel Hall Sapper. It's just incredibly swingy. Makes for good highlight reel videos, but beyond that, I'm not a fan of games being determined by this sort of effect. So hopefully we'll see less of it on the ladder. But I think we're still going to see it on the ladder, which is interesting. I just feel like, philosophically, I'm sort of like against the card, what it does. So making it cost more is fine. If you just want to try to balance the ladder around, but keep the effect in the game. But I don't really want the effect in the game, to be honest with you. I don't mind the effect if it's just so prohibitively overcosted that you're only playing it in, wink wink games with your friends where you're trying to do crazy things. But I don't think I don't think 7 is the cost for that. I think this is still going to see play. So just not nearly as much. And yeah, make sure I got my list of cards here that have been nerfed. I logged in with the cards that have been nerfed screen up, and then my internet crashed right before I started filming, so I don't have my full list in front of me anymore. I know there's a couple more changes, so let me pull this up real quick. I'm having a real problem with my internet today, and I'm sorry about the awful break here in the video. Oh, right, so this last one's not really a nerf so much as just fixing something that I think should have been like this from the beginning. Dawnstar Healer is one of my favorite cards. Like a lot of cards that I really was really high on for a long time before they started seeing play in the ladder, like this. Cloudress Illusionist, the 2 lane change cats that got nerfed not long after I started playing them. This is a really strong card before, and it still is. The only thing that changed is that it used to trigger when the rune was broken immediately, which allowed for a 1-turn kill combo with Namira's deal. If you had 2 of these guys on the board, and oops, I guess that's not the name of the card. Oh, Ring of Namira is the card. Oh, I don't have any Rings of Namira. There we go. Ring of Namira is the card. When you gain health, you deal that much damage to your opponent. You have 2 of these on the board, so every time you gain health from them, you gain 6, and then it deals 6 damage to your opponent. And because of the way it worked before, where it triggered when the rune broke, it did not allow for prophecy response to interrupt this process. I think that if you want to kill somebody in 1 turn, and you don't mind the possibility in those 4 or 5 runes you're breaking that you hit a piercing javelin or a lightning bolt, this combo still works for you. And I think that there should be a little risk. I think having things that have no possibility of interaction are bad for the game and not fun, even if they're not particularly powerful. I like being able to have some sort of influence on what happens, even if it's just the remote possibility that I hit a prophecy. I need that. I need that chance, that possibility to exist. Having something with no interaction is sort of boring to me. Sort of like I think that in that sense, the change to Echo of Akatosh is pretty cool, because if you remove the dragon right away and your opponent hasn't drawn any cards, the effect does nothing. So I like that. Anyway, so those are the cards that have been changed. All in all, I am totally fine with what happened. I am eager to see how the meta responds to the lack of Praetorian decks. I think it'll be hopefully an opportunity for some creativity. The last few weeks playing the game have been some of the most fun I've ever had, because I've played against more variety of decks than I have ever seen, since the game was released, even into open beta. Because actually, to be honest with you, during closed beta for a while, the meta was a lot more stale than you might think, as something big caught on to the really small community we had in closed beta. Everybody would be playing it all of a sudden. Like, I remember when Orcs were the deck to play, Orc aggro, and it was unstoppable. Actually led to some balance changes to Orcs in closed beta. But yeah, that's my thoughts on that. So we have a video coming out tomorrow that will feature another new deck, which is what I'm really excited about. A warrior deck that's using the new Warrior dual color card, which I was really excited to play, and a deck I'm still working on, but I think a pretty unique deck. So look forward to that, and I will see you all on the ladder. Bye bye.